Hey artists! Welcome to another video. Today I am painting a heron that I absolutely adore. These are one of my favorite birds. These blue jays and barn owls, those are my three. And any day I get to paint a heron is a good day. So watch while I bring this heron to life. I'm adding a couple fun techniques here. I'm adding a little bit of grunge, adding some gold leaf and some gold paint, and just to give it a little bit more fun than a traditional realistic heron portrait. So one of the things I wanted to talk about today while I bring this to life is basically how I have grown as an artist. So this is going to be me personally, but I want to also invite you to look at your own art practice and see where maybe you have also grown. Unless you start actually purposely thinking about this, sometimes we don't actually realize how much we grow over the years. So it can be kind of fun to look back and see the progress that we've made. So one of the first ways that I know I personally have grown as an artist is that I've stopped taking myself so seriously. And this has done wonders to help me to really up my mental game. And so much of an art practice and maintaining a good, healthy art practice is a mental game, trust me. But basically what I started doing was I cut myself some slack. I actually allowed myself to start having fun with the artwork. And this might seem a little bizarre at first because you might be thinking, well, of course the artwork is fun. But sometimes it can be really easy to slip into a phase where your artwork isn't really associated with fun. It might be more associated with work, or perhaps you feel, you're undergoing a struggle in your art practice currently, and it doesn't feel very good. But when I actually allowed myself to have more fun with my artwork, it really made a huge difference. And it was kind of a bit of a wake-up call too, because what good is an art practice if you hate the process? Then it's just a job that you hate. And no, that would be an absolute shame. Art is and should be fun, and you are allowed to embrace it. So yeah, that was definitely one of the ways that I noticed I've grown as an artist is, I stopped taking myself so seriously, and art is really fun. And I find when I'm having fun creating artwork, I create the best artwork I have created yet. And if that's not, an indicator that you're on the right path, then I don't know what is. So the next way that I've grown as an artist is I've learned to look for the lessons. And that's a pretty broad statement. I would say even across my entire life, not necessarily just for growing as an artist, but it's so important. And like I kind of mentioned, across my life as an artist, but also I've really taken this as the owner of a multifaceted art business owner. Like, I have many different things going on in my art business, and it can be really easy to get caught up in, not looking for the lessons, and it really changes the way you look at things. So now I basically trained myself to look for those lessons. What worked? Almost more importantly, what didn't? And this is another one here that I particularly love and is always a bit shocking to some, but I've learned to love failure. And I think the reason behind that is because I've changed the way I view and feel about failure. Failure, in my opinion, is trying something that you really wanted to succeed at, like deep down inside, and then you stopped chasing it because there was a roadblock. That is truly failure. But, if your recent painting didn't turn out exactly as you wanted, well, look for the lesson. Why? Where can you change things? What didn't work? How can you try again? There's so much to be learned from failure, and that can be across life in general. So that's definitely one of the biggest ways that I've grown as an artist in the past few years, is that I've changed the way, I've changed my relationship with the concept of failure, and I've learned to look for the lessons. Even when things go excellently, I take the time to actually break down what those lessons were, because yes, some things don't work and you can learn from them, but some things also do work. And you can also learn from how you feel about certain things. Maybe you created a new painting that everybody seemed to love, but you hated. So learn from that. Ask yourself what's really important here. And ultimately, always look for those lessons. And finally, the last way that I've noticed I've grown as an artist, and I mean, there are plenty of other ones, but for the sake of this video, these are the 3 that I came up with. But this last one here is that I loosened up a lot when it came to my art practice, and I let go of what was keeping me bound tight. So for a little context and a little background here, I grew up creating art of animals, and I think if you've seen any of my artwork, that's not a surprise. I grew up amongst nature, and I always had an appreciation for animals and nature and wildlife and pets, and they really inspired me. So I created art of what I know and love. And just through the nature of nature, I fell into obsessive detail when I was creating my artwork back in the day. I was totally a perfectionist, and every single hair, every single feather, every single whatever I was painting needed to be on point. And I got really obsessive about that. And then art started to lose its sparkle a little bit. I felt that I had set up these really stiff boundaries for myself, and rather than feeling free and happy when I was creating artwork, I felt really bound and stifled. And it took me a really long time to be able to recognize what was happening. And throughout that time, I kind of did some damage to my relationship with art and my art practice, because we weren't really friends anymore. I didn't like the way that I felt when I was creating. And then someone I know challenged me to create a whole piece of art in less than 1 hour, which my initial response was, oh, no way, I can't do that. My paintings take hours because I'm obsessed with every little tiny bit of detail. But they persisted, and they challenged me to create a whole piece of art in less than 1 hour, as in set a timer, and when that timer goes off, you are done. And honestly, it was the best thing I ever did for myself as an artist. I still look back so fondly on that moment where I actually started and finished that 1 hour challenge, because I felt like I had stepped into a whole new world where art was not only fun again, but I was allowed to explore, because basically I was forced out of those really rigid bounds that I had set up for myself. I couldn't get all of that detail into my painting in 1 hour unless I was doing a little piece that was like 1 inch square, and that wasn't part of the challenge. I ended up creating an 11 by 14 inch painting in less than 1 hour. And out of everything, I think that was probably one of the best things I ever did for myself as an artist, because it gave me the ability and it gave me the freedom to explore other things that before I never had, because I had set up those constructs in my mind of, no, everything is, you're going into hyperrealism here. Don't deviate from your reference photo, because that's not what this is about. And I mean, it's no shock now to see why I felt so bound and stifled in my art practice. But that challenge opened my eyes in ways that I'm so thankful for. And it gave me a license to be able to explore texture in my artwork, explore light and color in a more unnatural way, or a way that isn't typically found, in the natural world, and really, really pushed my boundaries. It was so much fun. And I absolutely love the artwork that came out of that. In fact, I didn't get enough from that first challenge. So then I re-challenged myself to not only just do one painting, but I actually did a whole series of them. And had so much fun while doing it. And whenever I feel myself getting a little too bound tight into my art practice again and feeling like I've built up these walls that I have to be within, I do another one of these challenges, and it forces me to really step out of my comfort zone and really play and explore. And it is just one of my favorite things to do in my art practice. So that brings us to the end of this video. I hope this kind of inspired you to look at your own art practice, to see how you've grown as an artist. And maybe these ways that I've grown have inspired you to, take a look at what you're doing. And maybe there's some areas that you want to grow in. And this is an opportunity and an invitation to shine a light on those areas and make the changes that you want. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. If you're craving more help with painting realistic wildlife easily, then you will love the Wildlife Painting Academy. Each month, new masterclasses are added, complete with my voice walking you through every moment, paint mixing recipes, reference photos, and so much more. You can check it out in the link in the description of this video.